So is anyone out there looking for an official and random release of a pretty darn major character rework that has seemingly come out of nowhere? Good, because I have exactly that for you today. Folks, the Maxwell Rework Beta is out now, and no, I'm not kidding. Don your top hats, and let's do some magic. Magic that, surprisingly, will no longer work like it has for many, many years. The Codex Umbra doesn't give a crap about being on the ground anymore, and gives us access to nothing. In order to use the dang thing, following this update, we must now read it from within our inventories to access Maxwell's new spell wheel here. We can summon shadow servants, duelists, imbue top hats apparently, perform a shadow sneak, and even create a shadow prison. So let's get to it. We have got a new spell UI that will pop up when summoning our shadow minions now to allow for far more control over where they work and roam as seen here. All shadow puppets will last for about a minute unless targeted and killed, as yes, they are no longer permanent followers and don't even follow us at all at the end of the day. These servants will chop, mine, dig, and even now collect for us all in one, which is obviously a huge deal, especially that last bit. All puppet summons will cost Maxwell 30 of his maximum sanity, as you can see at the top right there, and the cherry on top of it all has got to be the fact that all Maxwells in the game will now be able to summon 6 minions at one time now. It's truly not bad. And as for one added bonus, note that these puppets can be spawned on the water too, be it for combat purposes or otherwise. The guy is still a utility powerhouse with a few new toys to play around with essentially. Be mindful now though, all this playfulness will come at a cost to more than just our sanities in this update. Every use of the Codex Umbra, be it for the summoning of minions or for what's to come, will now drain the thing by 5% each spell. Others can be made as always like we saw earlier, but nowadays we can also quote unquote refuel the novelty novel with Nightmare Fuel itself, each returning 25% by the way, which is pretty darn insane all things considered, and I imagine that's gonna change. But before that happens, have fun. But let's continue to have some more fun here today with the new toys I mentioned, with the introduction of Maxwell's Magician Chest. Being mighty costly on the Nightmare Fuel, but not really much else. The chest is a literal chest, but with a lot more going for it. For one thing, it offers us an additional row of storage, which is already well worth the invest in my opinion. For another, it is literally an ender chest. And here's what I mean. Alongside Shadow Chester and a quote-unquote new hat we will be discussing here in a minute, the Magician's Chest allows access to the shadow dimensional storage place between themselves and others. Anything in the hat can be seen in Shadow Chester and the chest. Anything in Shadow Chester can be taken out of him from the other two. So on and so forth. It's cool stuff. It might be hard to manage in the long run if you're playing with a group and no one is around to clear some stuff though. But yes, for my next trick, I will be needing a top hat and my new imbue top hat spell. For whatever reason, the hat must be in your inventory for it to work and nowhere else. However, when it does, the Magician's top hat will be born. As far as I can tell, the thing works exactly like a top hat when it comes to their sanity restorations, durability, and more, only now, these Magician hats are portable chests. Better yet, it seems that their durabilities are unaffected by whatever in them too, so essentially we have a slightly larger, portable chest hat in this game, everyone. A chest hat that can store stuff across the map. To continue though, the shadow quote-unquote traps, as Clay has labeled them, starting with the Shadow Prison. At the cost of 15 sanity and 5% of your Codex Umbra, you will now be able to stop practically every mob in its tracks for a not insignificant amount of time, mind. Shadow pillars arise and look to even stop mobs from finishing their attacks too, but I wouldn't really flirt with that, especially when it comes to bosses. It appears that this prison will last for about 20 seconds or so do with that as you please. Either make your escape or prevent a boss like Dragonfly from running or something. But speaking of escaping, that is seemingly exactly what this next one is for. Shadow Sneak costs the same as Shadow Prison and looks to create a proximity-based trap that will scare mobs caught in its radius for a time. At least that's what I've been experiencing for the time being. They're both okay, I guess, with one being much better than the other. However, I imagine I'll forget about both of them in day-to-day gameplay once this update has kinda passed. Note too, though, that it's only the Shadow Prison that works on bosses and not Shadow Sneak. But before we go, allow me to say two things. Yes, summons can be spammed rather efficiently, which is nice. But yes, times two, Shadow Duelists are pretty darn terrible still. Thankfully though, they no longer cost so damn much to make, which is a massive buff, but they are still gonna die in one hit most of the time and deal but 40 damage each, which is still not great. And, if you can believe it, there you have it everyone. The first official look at the Maxwell Rework Beta update coming to Don't Starve Together later this month, I'm guessing. New spells, buffs to old friends, and a whole lot of storage space, I guess, is the name of the game as things stand. However, I truly do find myself questioning this rework a wee bit. I don't like the fact that the former King of the Nightmare Throne has been reduced to a utility character with no other real powerful force to drive him at the moment. I don't like that I have seen mods do the shadow minions better than Clay did themselves. I don't like that he's a magician and yet there is no flash to what this guy is doing at all at the moment. I am wholly displeased by the fact that he is very knowledgeable of the constant and has even quote-unquote ruled it for a time, and yet none of that is really impacting anything we can see from him in day-to-day gameplay at the moment. I think people are underestimating how much they're gonna miss the fact that guys are not permanent anymore, meaning we can no longer have permanent low sanity, meaning now it's even harder to farm Nightmare Fuel as Maxwell. And while I could probably think of a couple more things, I cannot believe that Shadow Duelists are still utterly garbage. But oh well, not only is all this one Beard's opinion, it is also a beta, and a very early and random one at that, so I expect a lot of changes throughout this month, and I will be there to cover them for ya. But thanks for watching, folks. Well wishes to all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.